We're supposed to be playing Dungeons & Dragons right now. Why are we not playing Dungeons & Dragons? I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm Lewis the Basher. Here to bash in some news to your brain. Much rather be playing Dungeons & Dragons than worrying about what's happening in the world. I don't want to care about Intel's security flaws. I don't want to care about Ajit Pai and his bullshit. So Intel's in a bunch of trouble right now because there's a very serious security flaw in the CPU microarchitecture. It's the predictive, sort of like a predictive algorithm. They're saying all kinds of crazy things in the news. It really just allows programs to have access to memory at a very low level that they really shouldn't have access to. So any sort of malicious code may be able to grab stuff that's on the memory, like passwords and that sort of thing. It's very awful. And the worst part is the fix. The medicine's always the worst part, yo. Make you even sicker. It could slow down the CPUs because the stuff that was causing the trouble was speeding up the CPUs. So the fix is going to be a software fix, which already is going to add some overhead, and then it's going to be slowing down the CPUs. So this could make Intel CPUs a little bit slower. And, Intel was jumping up and being like, hey, listen, this is going to affect all kinds of people. And ARM was like, yep, it affects all kinds of people. And then AMD's like, doesn't affect us. So whatever's going on, AMD is not affected at the moment. And who knows, maybe if someone finds some other security flaws, I'm sure someone out there is trying to find some dirt on AMD. Right now, AMD stock's going up, Intel stock's going down. And Intel's CEO is under a lot of scrutiny because he sold a ton of stock in November, like $24 million worth, saying it was just a planned divestment, but, could be anything.
Intel Insider.
Intel Insider trading, yes. This show brought to you by the new Fenek Swift Mouse, the most swift mouse to ever mouse on a... Hi, everybody. This is our Fenek Swift mouse. And what we did is I went over to China and I looked at a gazillion different molds and mice and then found one that really suited my needs. And then I noticed that there was like a couple of really, really cheap mice out there using like the same, if not similar mold. And I was like, no, this is very comfortable and very ergonomic, really good for claw, really good for palm. So I put a 3360 in here. Got the Pixar PWM 3360. You guys can see the CPI steps on the website. Also put a really nice soft coating on here that I like. And then some grips on the side. Upgraded the buttons. We upgraded pretty much everything on this thing. The RGB, you can control by just holding down a couple different button combinations right here on the mouse, and then you can cycle through the RGB colors and RGB modes and even turn it off without any need for software. One other thing I want to talk about, because this is sort of, we're obviously doing a little thing for our mouse because we made this thing, but I want to mention something about like the way things work in China. So this mouse, we came up with the firmware idea to have the RGB done on the mouse. And there's been some similar things, but nothing quite this extensive. And the Chinese companies did not understand. They fought us. They were like, no, everyone wants software. And I was like, no, everyone does not want software. So we fought for a little while. And the latest email that I got back from them was like, hey, just want to let you know your ideas are a big hit. Of course, we're the small guys. So, hey, if nothing else, a lot of other companies are going to be ripping off the ideas, but that's the way things work. Everything's derivative. And guess what? We're going to keep going forward and creating new things so they can copy us, and maybe we'll make the world a better place. God, my ego's huge. No, but really, I was surprised that no one had done that in the mouse so far. So if someone hasn't done it, we'll do it ourselves. Moving right along. Ajit Pai has canceled his CES appearance because he's worried I was going to beat his ass. The FCC is also preparing to weaken the definition of broadband. All you guys who were just so for him getting rid of net neutrality, well, here's what you're going to get. The new definition of broadband is going to be 10 megabits a second with 1 megabit per second up. Wireless, not even wired. How wonderful is that? It's wonderful. We're going to be at CES next week, right? And I want to know who you guys want us to check out. Do you guys want us to check out any new crazy technologies? Do you want to check out any specific booths? We've got 4 or 5 people who have sponsored us to come check out their booth. I think Be Quiet, Lee and Lee. Who else? Toshiba and A4 Tech. So they've sponsored us to come check out their booth. So you're getting those 4 videos guaranteed, and all the rest of it's going to be whatever the hell we see, unless you tell us. I'm kind of curious about what LG has going on right now because they've created a small fleet of robots to replace jobs that people were like, oh, you can't replace that job. We're talking like servers, like bringing food and drinks. Personal shoppers. You go to the supermarket, they'll be able to walk around with you, tell you how much things cost, and then, take your money. When you walk into a hotel now, you're not going to have to talk to anybody anymore. Just imagine this. You walk into a hotel and there's like 15 of these robots and one just rolls over to you and says, please set your bags in my baggage compartment. And then you put your bags there and it's like, great, let's create a little profile for you. And they immediately start just figuring out all the details about everything you like and getting it and storing it into a database. Now, humans have done this for a while. You guys may not know this, but I used to work at the Ritz-Carlton as a front door greeter security guy. But when you walk into that place, they start creating a database. And I was the first point of contact. So you walk in and you're like, you see the guy coming, you have to know his name. If you don't know his name, one time you get to ask. As soon as he comes in, you mention into your thing, okay, Mr. Johnson has entered the building. He's wearing a red baseball cap. And then everyone pulls up his profile, and they already know that he likes tuna sandwiches with a chocolate chip cookie in the center, so they put one on his pillow. They know all these things, with orange juice on the side. What a meal. They know all these things. They know that he doesn't like to be called Mr. Johnson, he likes to be called Big Harry. They know all of this. These robots are going to take this a step farther because they are going to be connected to a much greater network. The LG television sets, the LG robots, they're all going to work together. And you know what? This is probably going to get sold onto a bigger network with all the other manufacturers that are harvesting data about you. When you walk into a place, these robots are going to know that you have hemorrhoids. And they'll take you right to the hemorrhoid aisle and they'll say it out loud. They'll be like, here is your hemorrhoid cream. Do you want to live in that world where you go to the supermarket and instead of discreetly going to grab the strange thing for the ailment that's very normal but people don't like to talk about because they're freaking weird, you go to the aisle and then you're standing there and next thing you know, a very attractive person to you, because that's subjective, comes around the corner just as the robot says, this ointment goes inside your buttocks. What do? Turn and say, would you like to help? That's harassment, or harassment, depending on whom you ask. That's the world we're going towards, guys. We're creating a dystopia of ease of use, I guess. A dystopia of laziness. Soon. The government has lifted a ban on making viruses more deadly. I think you put that thing back too soon. No, it's okay. We're not going to do two of these freaking things. The government says it's okay now to make viruses. There's still some guidelines, but you're going to be testing. What they're going to be doing is they're going to be applying for grants, and in order to get a grant to make a virus more deadly, you're going to have to prove that, okay, we're working on a vaccination, and we're also going to be studying how just a standard flu virus can become a super virus like SARS or something. So that's the idea behind it. I don't even need to say the rest because science fiction writers are going to go crazy. Single player gaming is dead, right, EA?
Yeah, absolutely. So nobody is interested in playing linear storyline single player games anymore because they're not profitable.
Well, it's a good thing we've just decided that our game is going to be multiplayer loot box.
Sandbox.
Loot box, sandbox, multiplayer.
Roguelike.
Procedurally generated.
Yeah. What they're saying is that 2017 actually, despite being a dumpster fire for the majority of things, was actually a really good year for single-player games. They had a lot of really good ones come out this year, and including Game of the Year went to a single-player game, so...
Yeah, I mean, check this out. This is just like doing a type best single-player games of 2017, but a bunch of just video games frequently mentioned on the web. That came up as like the advertisement from Google. And a lot of these games are from 2017, and I mean everything from Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata, Assassin's Creed. Just there were a lot of interesting single-player games coming out that came out this year.
Yeah, Wolfenstein II.
The one that I picked up, the single-player that I have not played yet, that I've been wanting to play, is the latest Dishonored game. I've loved those games so far because those games have like 7 or 8 mediocre levels, and then like 3 or 4 just masterpiece levels. Yeah. There's like each one of these games. So I haven't played the new one, but let me know what you guys think.
Evil Within 2. I remember just reviewing that one day for one of the shows, and then I found myself being like, "Well, I got to finish this." That was one of the games that I was like, I got to finish the hell out of this. This was really
Life
good.
is Strange.
Life is Strange. That's it. There were no other single player games in that, and nobody had fun playing them at all.
No,
according to EA.
Yeah, which one did you guys hate the least?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some mods that are coming out.
Yeah.
Fallout 4 New Vegas. So if you really liked New Vegas, but you want the new engine, there's a team right now working on Fallout 4 New Vegas. They're not able to just port over everything from New Vegas, so they're basically recreating most of this stuff, which is painstaking.
Do you think Bethesda will wait till it gets really, really close to being done and then shut it down?
See, I don't know if this
Like they did with that co-op mod for Skyrim.
Well, there's so many. Well, there's so many different mods. Like there's Morrow Oblivion and Morrowind, Morrowind, Sky whatever, Sky Oblivion. And anyway, and Bethesda hasn't stopped any of those. So, despite the fact that this may actually cannibalize some of the New Vegas market because it'll allow people with Fallout 4 to play New Vegas, I don't know if they're going to do anything about this or not. It's such a huge labor of love, and there's a lot of mods already out for New Vegas, but I wouldn't mind playing the best modern Fallout game in the newest engine. That would be a lot of fun.
Star Wars Battlefront II, classic, the good one, a couple days ago received a new multiplayer update patch. So Disney reopened all the multiplayer servers and everything for Battlefront 2 recently, but they recently just included an update and stuff for it at this juncture. So they're actively adding on a game right now that has spent quite a lot of time in the dark, but has now been getting this like huge resurgence since everyone started hating Battlefront 2 from EA and went back to this one instead. So
so you can also go, if you want to get like some more playability out of this, you can go grab this Star Wars Battlefront conversion pack, 25 new maps.
Yep. And 5 different gameplay modes, new gameplay modes.
And if you youngins can't handle the graphics, back in my day, we didn't have graphics. Well, you can get an HD pack as well. And let me just show you some pictures from the HD pack. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it's not like, it's not really upping the polygon count that much, but it is improving the textures. I don't know. It looks pretty good.
That looks pretty darn good. I mean, considering what it used to look like and stuff, at the time we were like, oh my God. This is so lifelike. Gaming is never gonna get better than this. It's never gonna be more real than
it's always
Lara Croft triangle boobs. Like, it's never gonna get realer than that.
Let's figure out when we're gonna play Dungeons & Dragons, because this garbage is...
This is... Yeah, I can't help but notice that this is exactly not Dungeons & Dragons. This is 100%...
If anyone doesn't know, we were supposed to be playing Dungeons & Dragons right now, but it got canceled, so we did the show a day early instead. Even though it's going to come out on the same day. All right, everybody, buy our shirts is what I was trying to say.
Buy our shirts. Buy our mice.
Yes.